I started watching Gary Vaynerchuk when I was a teenager, and he said if you can't start a business, can't think of a business, start a brand online, because you learn all the raw skills required. You learn branding, messaging, production, you just learn lots of skills. So back in 2016, I was 15 years old, I think, I started doing YouTube. Literally the day I watched that video, the next day I had my first video up on YouTube. I remember the pit in my stomach. I was posting a couple of months at this point. It was like my little secret I hadn't told anyone about. And then we started getting some subscribers.
I remember I texted you to offer to film and edit your next vlog or something else. And then I think as time went on, like we started talking a little bit around ideas. We got together to discuss like, what if we started a video business? I was 18, you were 17 and Jack was 16.
Yeah.
So we were just only coming in to start. We sat around the table and we started ideating. So chapter 1 of building Grafton Digital, right back to where we got started initially in 2018. And that's our classroom. We're actually here at our secondary school. For any of our American viewership, secondary school is from the ages of 13 all the way to 18 before you go to university in Ireland. And want to take you guys back to how we actually got talking to even start forming this brand that's known today as Grafton Digital. So Daragh, do you want to kick off with starting YouTube and how you've gotten into it and all the positives, negatives that were with that journey of getting to your first 1,000 subscribers?
Yeah, so I suppose it's probably our biggest requested question that we get sent messages on is, how do you get first customer? How do you name your brand? Like how did you actually work that? Hence why we're sitting here to actually go and cover that. But I suppose my entire life I've always wanted to get into business. My dad was always self-employed. So, and I suppose I've never heard the man ever give out about work. He was the first one in the morning, last one out at night, and absolutely loved his work. I think that really had a really positive impact on me. So my entire teenage years, I always wanted to start a business, and I'd be Googling businesses, and I never really pulled the trigger on anything. And then I started watching Gary Vaynerchuk when I was a teenager, Gary V out of New York. He's an entrepreneur based out of New York, and he was pushing really hard on social media at the time. And he said, if you can't start a business, can't think of a business, start a brand online, because you learn all the raw skills required. You learn branding, messaging, production, you just learn lots of skills. So really productive thing, and anyone can start a personal brand. So back in 2016, I was 15 years old, I think. I started doing YouTube. Started with fitness content because I was obsessed with CrossFit and I was losing weight at the time and whatever else, and just started rolling. I literally, the day I watched that video, the next day I had my first video up on YouTube. Didn't tell anyone in school. I was really insecure about it. They were terrible videos.
But in school, like releasing, like saying, hey, I'm on YouTube, like you're nearly like fearful of judgment and what can come from that, right?
Which came.
which came at its almighty, right? Yeah. Because then, like, as you started gaining traction, you probably came into school one day and then everyone was like, oh my God, Daragh Jordan is on YouTube.
One of the lads found it.
One of the lads found
Calum
it.
found it.
Oh, really?
And commented. And I was like, it was the weekend, and I went, oh no.
This is going to be all over like Snapchat.
I'm like, this has been sent around definitely loads at this point. I remember the pit in my stomach. I was posting a couple of months at this point, and it was like my little secret I hadn't told anyone about. But so I was posting, learning skills, and then we started getting some subscribers. And then I kind of started pivoting towards started fitness, then started going more towards kind of personal brand stuff of, I don't know, talking about my interest in business and what I'm doing and whatever. And
I think I caught you during that transition and kind of talking about in one of the vlogs that you were doing. I remember you always wore this Galway jersey. That was like always something you wore during your vlogs. And you said something like, you really desire to build a business, and that's what that's like your aim is to do one. Yeah. And I remember my first prompt was, okay, like we knew of each other in school, and like we never really were friends, or there was no like previous relationship there to like build on, or friendship there to build on. I remember actually walking back from school one of the like Thursdays or Fridays. I used to cycle to school, so Daragh was actually walking, I think, all the way to the village, and I got off my bike to make a conversation with him, and I got off the bike and I started pushing my bike, and I remember talking to him. And this was a little bit before your YouTube journey, and we were talking about what you want to be when you grow up, because we had a common kind of a club that was going on here, like the Microsoft ambassadorship, where you were representing Microsoft and talking about e-learning and doing everything like that for this on behalf of the school. Yeah. I remember like thinking like you're into that stuff, and I was pushing the bike, and it was at the traffic lights. I said, like, what do you want to do when you grow up and everything? You're like, I want to do coding, I'm like, I'm doing Coder Dojo, like CSS and PHP, and kind of gone into all of that because I'm telling you, that's the future, Eric, and like there's going to be so much money in that, and I think it's funny enough because I think you were probably like, this is not for me, I don't want to code anymore.
No.
But I remember like when I seen that sentence, when you said that on YouTube, of like, I want to start a business, I was thinking there, like, at this point, I was just out of school, I was working in an IT job, and then I was also working as like a bartender / waiter in a hotel, and I was like, I think I'd like to start a business too. I don't know, it just clicked in my head, and I remember I texted you to offer to film and edit your next vlog or something.
Yeah.
So we were going to do like a gym kind of day, and I walked around filming you on the phone, and we've done all that. It was a really nice day at your house. Now, I wasn't known for my editor skills or anything, because I don't think that episode was ever edited. It got lost on my hard drive, really. But it was the first kind of connection. And then I think as time went on, like, we started talking a little bit around ideas and just started kind of kicking things around. And we got together to discuss, like, what if we started a video business.
Yeah.
Because, like, for me, what I've seen is you went from like 0 to 100 to 300 to 500. I think I met you around that 500 mark.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Which is like fairly significant for someone to go in less than a year, just from my perspective at the time, in Ireland, like, where it's like, it's a very small market for viewership, and it's very, it's different to like what America or the UK had. There was a lot of culture around, vlogging and everything. So I was like, wow, he really knows how to get views, and he's really built an audience. Because that was like the thing, right? And remember, we were thinking, like, do we start like a YouTube, like a video agency that was like Ryanair, do like a lot of videos, and do, I suppose, do it cheaper, faster, better than anyone else in the market. And that's how like the conversation got started. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think neither of us liked videoing. We kind of all hated what went on in the background and editing and exporting. There was just so much work to it, and I think that's probably the excuse to so many people not starting their personal brand or not starting their online career as such when it comes to sitting in front of the camera. But I think that's when the point we were like, okay, let's just start throwing the ball around a little bit, and let's see, like, okay, what could this look like?
Yeah, like it was kind of two pivotal points for me, I think. It was, so Gary V had a marketing agency in New York, but he was working with your Fortune 100 brands, your Pepsi's of the world, your huge companies.
Massive contracts,
yeah. Really, really big. And they still do. They're still a huge media agency. But the other thing as well was I did a work experience in one of the biggest, at the time, one of Ireland's biggest marketing agencies. And they basically had a neglect. They didn't really put any effort into digital marketing. It was all just digital marketing focused. And I remember seeing how much money they were getting paid by brands for digital marketing, and then put no training, no upskilling, no effort. Even the team internally didn't care. That's funny, we ended up buying the table off them then years later, but that was a bit of a full circle moment. But it was those couple of things. When you said to me, it was your idea, you said, do we want to start doing videos? Because content of SME brands are so terrible. This is back in 2018. A lot of them are still terrible. But I was like, there's no point giving someone a €500 video or €1,000 video and giving them nothing to do with it. I was like, well, I'm studying marketing in my spare time. What if we were to do kind of more social media marketing, where we do the content, videos, pictures, graphics, and then we also do the marketing side, we do distribution, and we do strategy and whatever else. So, and I think that's where we kind of landed was, okay, this is a good place to start, because because if you just give content to some random brand, especially back then, most brands didn't have social media, especially SMEs, didn't even have anyone internally that knew how to post or whatever. So
right, nor did they see even the ounce of a value proposition towards having a social media, having good quality content, and engaging with this online world.
Yeah.
So it was just so new back in when we even fathomed of starting this company. There was our co-founder, Jack McKenna, at the time, who was really interesting. He had a really, I think, like, raw talent towards videography and cinematography is probably the proper term. But like, he was very good at like vlogging him surfing, building bikes. Like, he had like a really cool lifestyle brand in school.
Yeah.
Now, Jack was 2 years younger than us at the time, if I'm correct.
2 years younger than you, 1 year younger than me.
Okay,
yeah.
so 2, yeah. So when we first, like, I remember we were kind of like nervous, but we were like, we need somebody that's like really good at this.
Yeah.
And Jack went to the same school as us.
Yeah, he's
So
also
we're like,
freelancing at the time.
he was freelancing at the time, so we were really worried even talking to him about him because we had no money idea, we had no like anything around this, and we were like, we're gonna ask a person that already has like some sort of, I think he was doing some weddings, he was doing some, you know, little gigs around the place, and he was just really good in our eyes. And we were like, let's go ask him to be our co-founder on this that we didn't even exist yet.
Yeah.
But we were like, we need this person. I think the lesson here is building a team at the start is like one of the most important segments is to bring that talent in who's like that much better than you, and let them, like, especially if there's only a couple of you guys, you know, coming together, forming your first team and creating your first offer, let everybody carry, you know, a part of that service or part of that. And I suppose this was kind of probably subconscious on our end of like choosing somebody that was good at, you know, the filmmaking and that overall content aspect. And I remember did we have a coffee with Jack in Galway? Was that how we first approached him, or did you reach out to him?
Or in school?
Could have been in school. We could have met on like the yard or something.
Yeah, I think because Jack and I were both kind of posting on YouTube, I had texted him a little bit, so I had some dialogue with him, but I don't think we texted him and said, hey, can we have the chat? We have this business idea we're talking about, and we think we met at lunch and we pitched it to him.
He was all for it, wasn't he?
He was so, because I was like, Jack, I know you're probably getting paid some money already freelancing, we're probably going to work for free, because obviously, you know, we're going to have to probably do some free work here to get any sort of
traction.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, I'm down, no problem.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, great.
There wasn't even any sort of negotiation, who, what, where.
No.
And it was he was just in. And then we met in a classroom in this school. And we kind of sat around the table and said, okay, well, how do we even start here?
Yeah.
So at this point, we had no idea exactly what we're going to do. We just knew we were wanting to be somewhat social media driven and be in that sort of, service world. We didn't have our business registered. We had nothing really. I was 18, you were 17, and Jack was 16.
Yeah.
So it was we were just only coming in to start. And I think we sat around the table and we started ideating. We need a brand name.
Yeah.
And like we went from Foss Media to Grow Media to Grow Digital to I actually think it was either yourself or Jack that came up with the word Grafton.
Yeah, I think it was me or him. I can't. In my head it was me, but that could be incorrect.
I think it could have been you because take you can take that. The IP of the Grafton brand came from this fella.
Yeah, should have trademarked
it. But like that, your explanation at the time, I think, was when we take Grafton International, we want somebody to relate back and know the Grafton Street or the Grafton brand, which is Grafton Street is like a really busy / famous street in Ireland, in the centre of Dublin, which is the capital. And so that was like, well, let's tie ourselves there. We don't want to be known for something that we can't really,
But I remember really early days, because like the fact that 16, 17, 18-year-old sat around and said, okay, we're going to build an international
brand. This is insane,
Like Grafton Street is on the other side of the country to us, so it's nowhere close to Galway.
300 kilometres from here.
And I remember early days people being like, why did you call yourself Grafton Digital? I'm like, it's a strong word. As Jack said, it can't be lengthened, can't be shortened, and it has a ties to Ireland, and then it's a real strong word as well. So we created any other offshoot brands. It could be put Grafton, whatever. There's some brands that use the word Grafton. But I remember that being like, I remember us getting some absolute laughs early days of why the hell some guys from Claregalway call your brand Grafton Digital.
Yeah.
But in our head, or in my head always, I was like, we're building international business here.
We just don't want to be known for like just being in like the one place. We want to be known as wherever we go, there's some sort of recognition straight away when we say the word Grafton, right?
Yeah.
So that was definitely one of the main drivers. And then I think very, very quickly what we started doing, because at this point, there's no we just didn't even know where to really even get a website or anything. So we went on to Google and typed in free website maker and went on to GoDaddy, where we bought our domain graftondigital.ie and .com, and that's where we actually got our first brand. And there was a really talented, again in our school, graphic designer at the time, Shane Heenan, who was designing wrappers like XX Tentacion and all these guys album covers, but he was just like really talented, and I just knew him from my PlayStation days of playing against him on Fortnite and all these games. And I was like, I just knew that he was doing this for artists and YouTubers.
And YouTubers, he's doing thumbnails,
doing thumbnails and all that. And he was on Twitter.
I think he did Chris MD. Chris MD was a huge gaming player.
Yes,
he did Chris MD's thumbnails and stuff.
I think even he has sent something to KSI, and KSI got back to him. There was like he was
really good.
Definitely making waves. Really creative guy. And that was like, we went to him to design the Grafton Digital logos at the time. And I remember we were thinking about the word Grafton to be like big and bold and black, something that's like really recognized. And then the word digital, we used like hyperlink blue is my best description. But remember, it was like a link when you clicked on it. To kind of, I suppose, I think we were thinking is like, okay, we are like digital, so tech and internet, and starting to think like that. And that's how we formed our brand. I remember we got like a PDF with like 10, 15, 20 logos, and we just had to start narrowing it down. I like this, I don't like this, and everything like that. And we went through that exercise, and then within days built a website, graftondigital.com, put in like all our services. I think it was content creation, graphic design, social media management. I don't think at this point web was even a conversational point. It was just, content. And
it was.
And I think that's how officially like the company, from there on in, that was like our brand was born from like school, and we got out, and like during school time, like trying to hustle, like you were on the phones during lunch breaks, calling clients, quoting them. I think it'd be cool if you mentioned, remember you called that VR place?
Yeah, so there was a new company just opened in Galway. I rang them up and they were like, yeah, we're just after opening, we could do social media management. I'm like, amazing, yeah, we do this, and this. My first ever sales conversation ever. And they were like, how much is it? And I go, because we'd never priced anything before. I didn't know how much was affordable. So I remember being like, oh yeah, I'll come back to you with a quote, He's like, no, just rough ballpark. And I was like, yeah, around, I don't know, 400 euros a month. And he went, that's way too expensive. Bang, straight to her.
And for the record, we probably were quoting like a full-time person's role at the time of like 5 days a week content, to replying to your messages, to promotions, ads, everything under this 400 euro. And I know there was like a time where we got like fitness, where you were going to CrossFit, and I think Jack was friends with them as well, that we got like some shooting gigs of like a full day rate of going into doing like a personal shoot for some person doing Instagram and everything like that. So that was working. And then I remember there was this lady in our village who was just a master connector. Like she was genuinely off for connecting, and she runs the local media kind of place and the newspaper, Josette Farrell. And I remember being on holidays and getting a call from her that I've just introduced you to. You do social media management, don't you? The Clunaconning Castle is reopening. You should really talk to them, and I think they'd be really good at, they'd be the best customer for you. I remember I hung up and I called, I think I either called you or the client first, but I just made the call. And the client's like, yeah, absolutely, come down. I called you. I was buzzing. I was like, there we go. We have our first ever client like coming in here, like what, And I didn't have my driver's license at the time. So we got in the car. I was driving on my learner's permit. My mother was on the passenger seat and you were in the back. And we've done this whole presentation for them on what we're going to do for like, what was the contract worth at the time?
250 euros a month.
250 euro a month. So we were going to we've done a full day shoot for them. Like the photos turned out really good at the time. We pulled in like reels. We're just really showcasing the hotel. Like we spent so much.
And they also said we didn't even offer this at the time, but they were like, our website could do it with some tweaks on it. Would you do it? We're like, yeah,
we'll just take your website.
Whatever, just give us login details, not a problem. We'll figure it out. I remember being 250 a month, being so nervous to ask for it, and she's like, yeah, we'll
250 a month, we'll do it.
Yeah. Do you remember years later? She was like, I knew right well that was your first contract, but she was like, hey, you're young lads, you're just trying to do it.
Yeah.
So it was more being sound, but we did do some really like we still have the photos. I think we did
some really good work for our time.
But that was our first ever contract.
Did she actually tell you that?
She said to you.
Oh, she could have, yeah. Breach, I think was her name.
I think so, yeah.
Breach, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, she was a legend.
But that was our first ever win. I remember, because like I was 17, I had no concept of money at the time of like how much 250 or what that.
What was your job at the time? The lawnmowers.
Yeah, I just cut grass.
So you'd get €20 for cutting the family house.
Yeah, I was like €250. That's crazy amount of money.
That's crazy money. So we were very happy with that.
Yeah,
and
delighted.
then I think like next year we got like the local show, you know, for St. Patrick's Day, and then
thanks to Josette as well.
Yeah, thanks to Josette and like Master Connector, you know.
Yeah. And she also gave us our first ever office space in Claregoy Hall.
Exactly.
She was essential early days. To be fair, in hindsight, looking back, Josette was so instrumental.
Kickstarter.
Yeah.
There was no like judgment against being young. I mean, I felt like when we were in that office, I remember like, you know, like a person would come in with a broken computer, or like, I need to design this. She'd like, Daragh will do this for you.
Yeah.
And like, whether it be a €50 transaction to €200 transaction, like we would do it.
Or nothing.
Or nothing. Sorry, most of the time.
Sometimes it's like, you just fix that.
We would do it for nothing. And then like that's I suppose probably like just getting kickstarted and, you know, starting the connections. And, you know, I think even, you know, our principal at the time, Alan Mungy, referred us some business through like school shoots and doing social media a few places.
Yeah.
And we got like the Erasmus contract and doing some recordings. Like that started like slowly but surely building our business.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit of chapter one of starting Grafton Digital, right?
Yeah, I think the last piece of this was just bolting on the web services then as well. So it was after Clunaconny, and I remember coming home. Like,
was it after Clunaconny?
Yeah, so it was Clunaconny that instigated it, because I remember coming home to Dad. So Dad, I used to harass Dad every evening asking business questions as things would come up, and I'd say he was so annoyed at me at the time, because every evening I just chew the ear off him, ask him questions and talking business and whatever, and probably saying ridiculous stuff. But I said to him about the website that they'd suggested we do the website as well, and he's like, Daragh, as you know, an SME, he's like, I truly believe I like one provider to come in and just sort me out. I don't want to be dealing with a web guy and a photo guy and a social media guy and whatever.
Just be the one place.
Just be the go-to one-stop shop for them. So we came back and we're like, we create a GoDaddy website, we can create another website, you know? And then that became the three pillars, where you're like, you were the web guy, I was social media, and Jack was content. And that's when you officially got a job.
Yeah, now I had a job.
Other than just driving us around the place.
With my mother on the passenger seat.
I only had my bike. I didn't have
Yeah, you did. In fairness, you did cycle everywhere.
Oh, everywhere. The amount of times I rock up to a meeting with my shirt just dripping with sweat, because I was just cycling around.
Do you remember you cycled to Oranmore and stuff, to like JNC Kenny and everything?
Yeah. That's like a 25k cycle.
But in fairness, we always try to get to the contract.
We make it work, yeah.
We would always make it work.
But yeah, that's probably chapter one. Up until the hub, it was our first little space. We were getting a few contracts. We had basically no burn, other than we had Shane and Sean. They're doing some work for us, and that's kind of chapter one.
Yeah, absolutely, chapter one. We weren't even registered, I think, during chapter one, were we?
I think the very end.
I think we must. Yeah, I think we were.
Because I finished school. Because by the time I finished school, we'd registered. Because I couldn't be on the business initially, because you were 100% owner.
Yes.
Yeah. You have to lose it after that. But
I've only gone downhill for a while. Okay, so that's chapter one of Building Grafton Digital.
Thank you very much for watching. Let's go to episode 2.